Moms know yearly checkups help families stay healthy, so why not do a quick health check on your family relationships? Studio 5 relationship contributor Dr. Matt Townsend says a family and marriage checkup is a good way to size up the health of the relationships that matter most. Thank you for being with us.
Good to be here.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this concept of people losing tabs on the people closest to them.
We love them, we're around them every day, but almost every single day that I'm working with clients, I have somebody come in with like a surprise, a secret. Something happened in their family that they couldn't believe happened. It's shocking. They don't know how it crept in. For example, I just caught my child doing pornography, looking at pornography. Or I just found out that my daughter was having sex with her teenage boyfriend. And they are devastated because they just wish they had been watching some other, watching, I call it the dashboard, the things in life that really matter, and paying attention because they think these things sneak up. So I'm going to give 5 different questions I think we should be looking at and asking. Maybe every 6 months, take a look at this to detect how healthy or not our family is.
And how do these checkups kind of help in a situation like the one you just mentioned?
A lot of times you might have a concern or a worry that something's going on, but we don't ever say anything. By asking these questions, we actually open up a conversation. We can be a little bit more direct for a moment, and then all of a sudden we might find out that there really is something more we need to get into and fix before it becomes too big of a problem.
Okay, so let's start. The first question that you have talks about cell phone use, and it's, are you effectively managing your family's cell phone use? So
we all have cell phones. We all have these great plans. We just found out that we were overpaying, so we changed our plan. Now we have unlimited use. It's so great, but it dawned on me, what are my kids using all of this for? What are they doing with their phones? Did you know that our kids are on the phone 6.5 hours of screen time a day? That's great. Now, you're probably more than that.
That's not a week.
That's right. That's in a day. 73% of teens have access to a phone. And you know what else is interesting? Drugs and alcohol use by teens is actually going down. But they're thinking, because this is now a portable kind of dopamine unit where the kids can go get high on their phone, they think our teens may actually be replacing drugs and alcohol for a cell phone. And we're thinking, well, that's great, unless they're picking up other problems because of it. So I would just want to sit down with my family and find out what's going on. What are you using it for? Maybe see if we could tighten up some of the restrictions on the phone. Maybe figure out how they are spending their time with it. Maybe make sure that they're actually doing things like their homework and tie it to some of their phone use.
Okay, and the next question that you put in relation to that is, has communication improved in recent months?
Yeah, especially in your marriage and your family. Have you noticed a change in the communication? Has the quality dropped, or has it improved in the last 6 months? If communication is dropping, if people are going quieter in your family, it should concern you, especially if they're people that have never been so quiet. So I like to pay attention to communication. If in your marriage you guys are talking a lot less in the last 6 months, you got to figure out why. You got to know what's happening, and it should just maybe be a date. You and your spouse go out and figure out, why aren't we talking as much? You might find out it's back to cell phone use. You might find out it's tax season and your husband's an accountant. Whatever it is, there's an answer, but let's make sure we're paying attention to that variable.
Now, on that marriage branch, one of your questions is, checking to see, are you guys closer today than you were a year ago?
That's right. We should be closer. We should be touching more. Research shows that couples are actually having sexual relations a lot less than they were 10 years ago. And a lot of that they're attributing to Netflix and to other wonderful things we have on our phone. But if we aren't connected and if we aren't close, the sooner you jump on that and the sooner you figure out why we're not close, the more you can go get help, the more you can go figure out what's going on. You might just find out your partner's stressed. You might find out the kids are overwhelming. You might find out having the dual income family is wearing you down. So go just use the simple question and then go deeper and deeper and find out what's going on.
And now, when we're not talking about the phone basis but for the kids, but then really getting out and into the public, your next question stems off of that is, do we really know what our kids are doing when they're out and about with their friends?
I had a client come and they just were dumbstruck because they just found out their kid is now sexually active, and they haven't had any of those talks. They never thought that could happen, and they couldn't believe it. And it all was simply because they thought they were just going out with friends. They didn't necessarily know who they were going out with. So one of the things I'd want us to do is find out who your kids are going with. Find out if you actually have access on your phone to track where they are, like Find My iPhone and things like that. Activate those systems so you know where they are. Have conversations. Be home when your kids come home. Try to figure out why your kid doesn't bring any of his friends or her friends over to your house. Why is your child always leaving but never coming back with the friends? Make sure you know who your children's top 5 friends are and be having conversations with these people. It doesn't guarantee everything or anything. What it does guarantee is you'll have more data points, more access to know what might be really happening.
Okay, now turning it inwards a little bit about what goes on in the home. Your next question sheds some light on the discussion of monitoring the use of media in your home.
It's funny, we have so many people in our community that would never let their child go to an R-rated movie, but they'll let their kids play mature video games all day long. So you're not going to an R, now that's wrong. But yeah, sure, disembowel that person. So it's the weirdest thing. Start getting real about your media use, because there's a lot of stuff out there that isn't probably up to your standard, that's sneaking in on the media, that's sneaking in through just simple websites like YouTube and other sites. So start figuring out what your kids are doing. Make some standards. Tell your kids what we should be watching and what we shouldn't be watching, so that we can't say we didn't know everything or most of what these kids are doing. You can't know everything, but you can have conversations that get you in the game.
Now, one thing I love is that you have a health assessment on this very thing.
Yeah.
Where can people go?
If you go to matttownsend.com, we have about a 50-point health assessment for you and your spouse. You just fill it out, and then if you want to, you can just give us the information, and we will call you and give you the feedback on what your assessment is saying. If you want to, too, you can come in and do a free assessment and consult with our coaches, and we'll sit down with you two as a couple and tell you where you can start working immediately. Just go to matttownsend.com.
Such enlightening information, Matt. Thank you so much for being with us and sharing with us this info.